And now that we are done with Bellator Paris, we go back to the States, Las Vegas, Nevada, the UFC Apex, UFC Vegas 92, the veteran Edson Barboza, the number 12 ranked 145er in the world, still getting it done at 38 years old, welcomes the undefeated Lerone Murphy for his first shot at cracking in to the top 15 of the featherweight division. Just when you think we've seen it all from Edson Barboza, he continues to prove people wrong. 2019, he starts the first of a 3-fight losing streak, Justin Gaethje, Paul Felder, and Dan Ige. But then he bounces back, goes on a 2-fight win streak at 145, including a knockout over Shane Burgos. But then he drops 2 more in a row, Giga Chikadze and Bryce Mitchell in 2021 and 2022. But then what does Edson do? He knocks Billy Quarantillo's head into the bleachers and beat Sadiq Youssef over the course of 5 rounds in a main event last October. The former top 15 155er and now current top 15 145er Edson Barboza can still get it done even in the late 30s of his career with so many UFC fights to his name now, 29 to be exact. This will be his 30th walk to the UFC octagon this Saturday, and it is going to be a tough battle against Lerone Murphy, but if he gets the victory, that's 3 straight. Lerone Murphy entered the UFC in September of 2019 at UFC 242 and fought to a draw against Zubaira Tukhugov, but since then has won 5 straight fights and progressively, really not even progressively, I mean, he started the win streak with Ricardo Ramos. He beats Douglas Silva de Andrade, Makwan Armikani. He just beat Josh Kulabau most recently in July of last year. So he's coming in here looking to crack into the rankings and by far get the biggest win of his career against someone with as big of a name and as respected as Edson Barboza. We know that Edson has electric in all of his shots, whether that be with his hands or especially with his legs, knees, kicks, spinning kicks, everything that you can think of. Edson Barboza pretty much has a finish by in the UFC. Lerone Murphy, more of that new wave of mixed martial artists, 32 years old. He's 6 years younger than Edson. He's a bit more cool, calm, and collective, a technical style of fighter. But will he be able to fight that way against Edson, especially for his first time potentially going 25 minutes? We saw Sadiq Youssef get that first main event slot against Barboza, and he nearly finished him in round number 1. I think even was a 10-8 scorecard, but rounds 2, 3, 4, and 5, he slowly wilted away, and Edson Barboza got stronger as the fight went on. The veteran expertise drastically took over in that fight and got Barboza the victory. Will it be the same storyline in this fight here? Will it be too much to handle for Lerone Murphy? He's going up against someone as seasoned as Barboza, who has fought some of the best fighters in the world for over a decade at this point in the UFC alone. Lerone Murphy can prove a lot of people wrong. There's still some people doubting the true potential of Lerone Murphy, being that he's had some close fights and hasn't really gotten that big name victory just yet. And even his biggest name victories weren't as decisive as some people may like. So a lot of people are calling maybe a fraud check this coming Saturday. I don't want to go that far, but if Lerone Murphy is overlooking Barboza or has not, gotten equipped for 25 minutes and equipped for the insane striking prowess of Barboza, he could be in for a world of hurt. Let me know what your predictions are for this featherweight scrap in the comments below. I'll be curious to see, do you believe in Lerone Murphy? Do you think he is a legitimate prospect turned maybe top 15 fighter at the end of Saturday night? Or will Edson Barboza's veteran expertise and striking prowess be too much to handle for Lerone Murphy? And at 32, yes, Murphy's in his prime. He's still a young prospect with not a ton of fights under his belt. But does a loss here really set him back, being that he can't beat someone that's 38 on their way out in Edson Barboza? I think there's a lot of questions, and for that reason, makes this a perfect style main event. You have the veteran in Barboza who's done it all, seen it all, fought against literally everyone there is to fight against, and you have the surging, undefeated, shiny new prospect in Lerone Murphy, representing England, by the way, a country on his back, These are the type of fights that need to be fight night main events more often. Barboza looks to knock off 2 prospects in a row and hold his spot this Saturday night. The co-main event this weekend in the Apex will be between Khaos Williams and Carlston Harris, 2 guys that have power in their hands, will look to get finishes when they arise. Carlston Harris is 4-1 in the UFC so far, and his only loss is to the undefeated Shavkat Rakhmonov, and 3 of those 4 victories are by finish. The 36-year-old, yes, late into his 30s, but only 5 fights deep into his UFC career, can still get some big victories before it's too late. He's going to have to avoid the heavy hands of Khaos Williams, who will be 6 years younger, 14-3 overall, and has some big-time knockouts in the UFC, including Miguel Baeza, Abdulrazak Al-Hassan, and Alex Morono. And his only losses are to Michel Pereira, a now ranked middleweight, and Randy Brown, 2 dangerous fighters. And the fight against Randy was a very close split decision. Khaos looks to make it 2 straight victories this Saturday, and Harris looks to make it 3 straight. Former Contender Series alum Adrian Yanez is fighting and looking to end his 2-fight losing streak that he is on. He has not won since June 18th of 2022, nearly 2 years since his last victory. After winning on the Contender Series in 2020, he came into the UFC and started out 5-0 with a plethora of big-time knockouts under his belt. But he lost to Rob Font, his biggest step up, and then he lost against another prospect, now ranked fighter, Jonathan Martinez, who has since lost to Jose Aldo at UFC 301. So a 2-fight skid for Yanez, both via TKO. He needs a big-time bounce back. And another Contender Series alum across the cage from Yanez is Vinicius Salvador, 2022 alum, is 0-2 since entering the UFC from that show, both via decision against Victor Altamirano and CJ Vergara, so good competition for sure. But Salvador will need to make a big-time adjustment to beat someone like Yanez and hold his spot on the UFC roster. He's 14-6, not the shiniest of records, but all 14 of his victories are by finish. He is electric when he gets the victories, but a big, big uphill climb here against Adrian Yanez. And I want to quickly mention before we get out of here, the top 15 matchup in the women's strawweight division between Luana Pinheiro and Angela Hill. The 9th-ranked strawweight Pinheiro is coming off of her first loss in the UFC against Amanda Ribas last November in a fight that she was winning until she got finished late into the 3rd round with a spinning heel kick from Amanda Ribas, who is ranked in 2 divisions right now as we currently speak. But prior to that, was 3-0 in the UFC, a Contender Series alum, and even got a victory over Michelle Waterson-Gomez. And Angela Hill, my goodness, what more can you say about Angela Hill? The all-time leader in fights for the UFC women's divisions. It's between her and Jessica Andrade. I feel like looking at Sherdog here, she's got to have more, right? Someone fact check me. I don't have the time to do it right now recording. But Angela Hill is coming off of a victory over another prospect in Denise Gomez last November. She's won 3 of her last 4 fights, with the only loss coming via decision to Mackenzie Dern in a main event slot last May. Angela Hill, what is she now? 39 years old. This will be her 30th professional fight. Can she halt the momentum of another prospect, hand Pinheiro her 2nd straight loss, and climb back near the top 10 of the division? Or will Luana bounce back and get the biggest win, or arguably the biggest win of her career, get herself back into the win column? Give me all of your thoughts for UFC Vegas 92 in the comments below. What are your predictions and what do you make of this fight card, especially that main event, the veteran Edson Barboza, the rising undefeated prospect Lerone Murphy? I think that is a fantastic fight in the 145-pound division. If you enjoyed this breakdown, please be sure to drop a like and subscribe to the channel if you are new. I bring previews every single week of the biggest and best fights, X's and O's, and more importantly, the storylines for every fight. Why does it matter and what is at stake? I also recap the most meaningful results every single weekend and give my thoughts and opinions on MMA news and fight announcements. Join the community on social media at the BAJ MMA and follow the show on your favorite audio platform if you like one long-form podcast episode they release every Friday and Monday on Spotify, Apple, and many more. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the fights between the UFC and Bellator, and I will see you in the next video.